Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to the podcast, The Hero in the Mirror. I want to first thank everyone for their support as we went through a few of these episodes. It's much appreciated. It's also been inspiring to hear a lot of the stories that we've had from the speakers that we've brought in. And in honor of supporting our strong women, I actually have a special guest with us today, fellow Shiro, Alicia Manzanares. Alicia Manzanares is a businesswoman and distinguished community leader. As an assistant vice president of project management at a Fortune 50 company, she exemplifies excellence in the corporate world. Now, beyond her corporate role, Alicia is an entrepreneur owning Alicia Michelle Jewelry, where she celebrates beauty and individuality through her designs. Alicia also holds the prestigious title of Mrs. Illinois American 2024, leveraging her platform and years of educational advocacy to empower and inspire students to pursue higher education and achieve their dreams. Wow, there's more. Proudly embracing her Mexican heritage, Alicia is passionate about representing Latinas in spaces where they're often underrepresented. Her journey is a true Shiro story, blending leadership, entrepreneurship, and cultural pride to inspire women everywhere to embrace their power and pursue their dreams unapologetically.
Thank you so much for having me.
Alicia, it's a pleasure to have you here, and you're actually the first Shiro that we have.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Series.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a bunch of heroes and males, but I definitely wanted to also showcase the power and strength and resilience of some of our fellow women leaders in the area.
This is very exciting. I feel very special to be the first one.
Yeah, you are, and as you should. So obviously I know you, but if you want to introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about how we met.
Yeah, for sure. So we're filming here at NEIU and Northeastern Illinois University, and we met here when we were in a marketing class, I think, many years ago. I don't want to count them. I think we reconnected at an alumni event for the College of Business, like two, 3 years ago. So it's been very nice to kind of see us both like evolve and grow into our careers, and then be able to reconnect with the NEIU community.
Yeah, it's been fun. I remember we met. It was for Top Golf.
Yes.
It started with a couple swings, and then ended up with reconnecting with a number of my peers. But that was great to see. Alicia, you have lots of great accomplishments, but I definitely want to ask, what was that transition, your journey going from Northeastern Illinois University as a student to your corporate role now? Like, what was that story and that process like?
Yeah, so when I was here, I was studying to get my marketing degree, and then I got my MBA. But I really thought that I was going to be going into like the advertising world, and so I had a friend who was working for an insurance company at that time, and there was an open position to be a project manager. And so I applied, and I ended up getting the job, and I slowly started learning a little bit more about project management as a profession and getting my PMP to become certified. So I think that kind of speaks to the importance of networking even within your own group, because obviously this was up here, but she still kind of helped me open up the doors to be able to do that. And then I moved a couple of times, and eventually I landed the job where I am now. But it is kind of a funny story that I think I've kind of shared with you before.
Definitely.
Where like I showed up to the job interview, and this was during COVID, so it was very much like online, but I really felt like I had bombed the interview at that point. Like they kept grilling me about technical questions, and so I was like, at some point I was like, oh my gosh, I give up. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I just wanted to get out. And I was like, I'm definitely not going to get this job. And I ended up just making a funny joke. And then everybody laughed and everybody relaxed. So, and then a few days later, they offered a position. So I think that goes to show, like, many times we're our own worst critic. And we could be very like not confident in what we bring to the table, but that taught me a lesson. Like, no, like we did well and the feedback was great. So yeah, that's encouraging.
It was probably that joke kind of help break the tension, help make that interview also be more personable Like,
Yes.
people kind of put their guards down, and you're able to be yourself. I think that's also a defense mechanism that I use.
Yeah,
Sometimes
like
I'm
bringing jokes in.
I'm super nervous.
Yeah.
I like to crack in a joke.
But it's good because, like you said, I guess I didn't realize because they were so. It was a panel, so it was a lot of people, and they were so focused on technically like asking all the proper questions that like when they got to know me after that, everybody was kind of happy and relaxed.
Mhm.
So that can definitely be something helpful for people to use.
A component of most interviews is also culture fit. Are you a culture fit?
Mm-hmm.
And are you willing to embrace what you know and what you don't know? So even if you maybe bombed a couple of the other parts, as you think, they probably thought you did well, but you were most likely also like a good culture fit. They're like, hey, we can see Alicia being part of this community that we have, inside this company.
Yeah.
Great. So on resilience and motivation, you're a project manager at a Fortune 50 company, as we've mentioned. What challenges have you faced as a Latina in corporate America?
Yeah, so obviously there's still underrepresentation of Latinas in a lot of these industries, and sometimes they are, depending on the company, they tend to be more male dominated. So I think depending on the company, there were companies that I worked where mostly it was like a team, like a big team of male, developers, and I was one of the only females, and that didn't really like feel really good. But I'm very lucky that now where I work, they do have a lot of female leadership, and they are there are diverse. There is diversity within the team. Challenges, obviously, sometimes feeling like you're alone or like trying to connect with other Latinos within the corporation, but at the same time being able to find the employee resource groups where there is that community has kind of really helped me when I feel like I'm kind of alone.
Kind of like in your own island. I think that within Ion, within my company, there's a lot of communities, like Well at Work and Toastmasters and a few other ones, and it's important to tap into those communities. Everyone kind of find your place, find the group of people that you feel comfortable with.
Yes.
Because if you're on an island by yourself, it's hard to continue to grow and develop.
Yes, and that is part of the networking and kind of feeling the feeling of belonging, because I think that's important in any organization that you join to feel like you belong and you have a seat at the table. So I really do agree with that. That's helpful.
So you've been in corporate for a while. How did that evolve to your pageantry? And what was it like competing at nationals last year?
Yeah, so obviously it was a very different environment because when I competed at Mrs. American 2024, I was going from a very corporate career to being a lot more just having fun and enjoying the moment and living in the moment. And I personally had a great time competing out there. The ladies were amazing. I think pageantry sometimes gets a bad rap that people are very catty or, but all the women that I met, they were very sweet, they were eloquent, and a lot of them had really like big achievements. They had advanced degrees. Some of them were doctors. Some of them had multiple master's degrees, and the number of community service hours that they put, in every year is amazing. So I had a very fun experience out there.
Yeah, a testament to this sisterhood of strong women.
Mm-hmm.
How was it during that week of competition?
It was tough because I had a wake up time of like 4:30 because by 5 o'clock I had to get my makeup done. So that was physically, I think it was very challenging because you're out there with not a lot of sleep and you're kind of running on fumes. But like I said, from a sisterhood perspective, I got to meet, very fun and amazing women. Some of them are also entrepreneurs that I connected with, that I did a collaboration with. So through pageantry, I met one of the women there, and we ended up doing collaboration for Paris Fashion Week for both of our businesses. So that was really cool. And just connecting in a genuine level where like you're so tired that you're like laughing and crying together. I think that was one of, my favorite memories.
Breaking barriers in the corporate world, in pageantry. It's really awesome. What's like a favorite story that you have from like that?
Yeah, there was one night that we were very tired because we had dinner probably at like 9 p.m. that night and we were up for all those hours and we were just sitting there like we were laughing so hard that we were crying. And that was just nice because that's kind of like again living in the moment and like yes, we understand that the next day is another big day, but making those very genuine connections where it's not about even pageantry, it's not about it's just human connection. I think that's beautiful. So
Yeah.
hmm
What role have support systems such as family or mentors play in your journey?
yeah, I love this question. So mentors, I feel like I've had a lot here at NEIU. I've had amazing people that have helped me along the way through securing scholarships or connecting me to internships, things like that. But I think in my own personal life, I've been very fortunate to have a very strong family support system. Where like my mom has always been very encouraging in anything that I want to pursue, and like even when I encounter barriers, she's like, you know, you can still make it, you can still try. And then my father has also been very influential in how I manage my career because there was a time where I had to make decisions between becoming like a full-time employee where I work and taking another opportunity elsewhere as a contractor. So all these things, like all the advice that he's given, I think along my career to see some of these opportunities long term, I think that kind of helps me because without that guidance, I don't necessarily think that I would be where I am today. So.
If you could, obviously your parents have played a big role in your life. If you can tell them anything today,
Yeah.
what would you tell them?
Honestly, like I would tell them, thank you so much for being there for me throughout all these years. I think that any person that accomplishes anything in life, there's a big, support system, whether it's family, friends, or a partner. So I think I'm so appreciative of everything and all the sacrifices that you both have made to get us here. So yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. So your jewelry brand, obviously you're rocking some jewelry
Yes.
today. Tell me more about it. What inspired you to start this jewelry brand, and what skills and uh, new business ventures have come from it?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that inspired me is I grew up in a very entrepreneurial environment because my parents were both entrepreneurs since I was a young girl. So that kind of inspired me since I was young. And it also inspired me to go to business school
All right, yeah.
to be able to hone some of those skills and learn marketing skills and accounting and all the basic things that they teach you, which is helpful when you have a business. But then for me personally, the jewelry is something that I've always been passionate about, and I've always owned a lot of jewelry. I used to have a big collection at home. And when I was getting married, I was looking for something that was more blingy, and I saw a lot of delicate pieces, but I just like big jewelry. So I decided to set out and make sure that there is diversity, not just in the jewelry, but also in, who it's targeted for, and like including women of color and including minorities as well. So that's kind of my
Yeah, more styles in the marketplace that people can choose from, and that's a really great
thank you.
design for jewelry that you have today. If people are interested in learning more about your jewelry designs
Yes.
and jewelry brand, where can they?
Yeah, so they can visit my website at aliciamichelle.com. They can follow me on Instagram. I sometimes post stories there, like I said, for the collaboration, we did a lot of posts there. Yeah, thank you for anybody who's willing
Yeah,
to support.
I'll make sure that this content accompanies some connections
Thank
either on
you.
LinkedIn or through your website. If you could leave our listeners with one powerful message for our strong women listening on this podcast today, what would that message be?
I would say that there might sometimes be people who tell us that we can't accomplish something or that we're not good enough for something, or we might ourselves sometimes believe that that's too difficult. And sometimes those voices, it's hard to silence them, but if we are able to kind of move past that and understand, like, we're not even here to prove anybody wrong, like, we're here because we're perfectly capable and we have the skills many times. Just push through that and like try your best to just focus on being yourself and going for what you want, even when, you know, there's other people telling you that you can't. Because honestly, your success and your self-worth is not tied to what people think of you. And so that would be what I would tell everybody.
That's great. No, that's obviously very powerful. And like I mentioned earlier, look for your career unapologetically.
Yes, yes, that is the word.
Exactly. That's really great. Well, I appreciate you being on
Thank
on
you.
this episode today. It's a pleasure to see a strong woman leader on this couch discussing your story, and hopefully for our viewers today, hopefully Alicia's story has inspired you to acknowledge the hero in your story, to smile when you see that hero in the mirror, and if you're in the midst of an obstacle, yeah, dig deep and carry on. And with that said, yeah, thank you, Alicia, again.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Much appreciated. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Cheers.